Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Come in. I'm looking for it. Zoom. One sec, Sophia. I have to look it up. Zoom. I'm finding it for you. I'm just going back in Zoom to find it because other than that, I have to be looking for the email that sent it. We didn't have enough faith. We didn't have enough faith that Zoom would actually make something to rival Blackboard. All right, hold on, it's coming up. Ooh, breakout chart. Meeting ID 684 8440 2427. 2427. And the passcode. Okay, 266820. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. So I'm gonna leave you here now. Okay. I'm pausing this.
All right. Good evening, officially, everybody. Thank you for adapting so quickly. You know, we've been between Zoom and Blackboard just trying to find the best fit. Blackboard is problematic, a little bit problematic, as we know. It threw me off twice, and even after that session last week, it threw me off twice in my class last week. So hence I decided to do the Zoom this evening, thanks to OMT. So it's a little bit tricky for me, but adapting is the name of the game as we go along. So if there's people in the waiting room, whatever it is, just alert my attention and I'll be happy to figure it out. All right, everybody. So today, we are doing two things. We're, well, we really are talking about you. We are focusing on trying to understand ourselves a little bit better, right? First, just trying to understand ourselves for the sake of understanding ourselves, and hence the reason we're going to use a personality tool, the personality inventory, to do so. And then we want to understand who we are, how we operate in a group setting, right? So that's what we're doing today. And I am hoping that you would have by now completed the team player survey as well as the personality inventory, so that as we go through, it can be very, very meaningful for you. If you haven't completed it yet, no, I can't say do so now, because, you know, that would detract your attention from here, but it does make it so much more meaningful when you're able to apply what we're talking about here theoretically in relation to the results that you have. So I'm hoping that you do. All right. So today, at the end of this lecture, as I said, we want to explain some key concepts and some principles of personality and teams and team roles, identify and explain various ways that we can understand personality, and hopefully identify and hopefully apply personality behaviors and role-based skills for personal development and behavior change. So just reiterating that this topic is really about you. So be prepared to be engaged, to engage yourself. Have, after that lecture last week on experiential learning, be prepared to engage you. All right. So, yeah. Personality. How should we understand personality? Personality is a concept that should be very familiar to most of us. It's a term used by everybody, laypersons and specialists alike. When people say you have a personality, what really do they mean? Well, I've heard people use it in that context. She has a huge personality, or that person has personality, or you know, people use personality to define how people are within a particular situation. But for the most part, people use personality to mean a kind of stable set of traits that define somebody. Is that so? Is that so? Anybody, any one person, how do you define personality? What does personality mean for you? Anybody? Let me look at my participants and call a name. Hi, Felicia. How are you? Felicia, you here? We're just warming us up, guys. Let's just relax and talk. Because as I said, this topic is supposed to be light. Light because we're talking about us. Hi, Felicia, you talking?
Yeah, I'm here. Are you hearing me?
Yes, very low, but I'm hearing you.
Personality for me would be
Hello? We've stopped hearing you. Felicia? Oh, your system is low. Your the volume is fairly low.
Miss?
Yes.
Right. While Felicia is
Oh,
adjusting her volume, I could attempt.
sure. This is Philip.
Yes, that's correct.
Thanks, Philip.
No problem. And when I think of personality, it reminds me of the definition that an astute researcher wrote once as it relates to identity.
Yes.
It's synonymous with identity. And I'm not certain if yourself or anyone could identify the definition that says identity, broadly speaking, identify. Identity is about who we are and what matters to us, about what images and meanings define and represent us given where we are, and about what we want and aspire to be. So for me, that's synonymous with personality.
With personality.
Yeah. I think it's Morgan 2015.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I could not have said it better. Oh boy. Thank you so much for that, Philip. A lot of these terms are synonymous, and they overlap, but they don't necessarily mean the same. So identity, that definition captures how I would define identity, but somewhere in that, there's some personality element. So I would say under the broad umbrella of identity, I could carve a definition of personality out of there. And when we think of the person, and how Erik Erikson, if you have done any psychology, you would be familiar with the name Erik Erikson. But he's one of those very famous psychologists whose work expand outside of psychology. Like, you know, everybody knows Freud. I mean, everybody would say that's a Freudian slip or something. Erikson is, I was gonna say almost equally renowned. So we would know of Erikson's work on the stages of development, trust versus mistrust, right up to adulthood. So trust versus mistrust starts at the beginning. But what is significant for Erikson's work in terms of identity and personality is that Erikson himself is a Freudian, you know, so he includes in his definition of personality some of the elements of Freud and the defense mechanisms and, you know, the defense systems and so forth. But not getting into personality in that kind of deep way. You know, in general, there are several ways of defining personality. And the most common one of the most common is consistent with a trait approach, right? And what this means is that we see personality as a stable set of characteristics that define a person, that define who you are, right? So this is why when we define personality as such in that kind of way that gives, that speaks to the stability of a person's character, what that means is that we expect the person to be or exhibit similar behaviors in different circumstances and throughout one's lifetime. That's the thing with that kind of definition of personality. So if you have a view of people that, oh, people don't change who they are, you can't, a leopard can't change their spot, you know, any of those kind of maxims that we use to try to understand people, then you're looking at personality from a trait perspective, as I said, which is perhaps one of the most popular approaches to personality. So the definition that kind of captures some of Freud's work gets into the psychophysical system and the unique adjustment that allows individual to adjust in unique ways to his or her environment. Robbins and Judge says it's the total, the sum total of the ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with each other, with others. Some determinants of personality. It is biological, right? And it is environmental. It is biological in terms of the stable set of traits that we're born with, that we're given, but the whole nature nurture, you know, story comes into play here. Who are you really? Are you really a product of your environment? Or are you really a product of nature? Generally, the conclusion, many of the theories conclude that it is a combination of both. As a matter of fact, some people give more potency to the environment in shaping people's behavior. And this is consistent with studies on twins. And they found twins who've grown up in different environments, even though they have perhaps similar disposition, the environment makes a huge difference in terms of their behavior and their outlook, their attitudes all of this is a part of your personality. So we have the trait, biological, evolutionary perspective, the psychoanalytic perspective, the humanistic perspective, the behavioral and learning perspective, the cognitive, the existential. Woo. All of these are different ways that people or scholars have sought to understand personality. So existential, for example, the existentialists are concerned with how, as human beings, we create meaning out of our nothingness, quote unquote. Who are we really in this big, vast, redundant there, but for emphasis, world, you know? So we're caught between life and death. And in the middle, what do we make of who we are and ourselves? So a huge sector of personality theorists focus on purpose and how people create purpose and meaning in life. So that's a mouthful. Any comment on that?
Miss, you made a connection to character. Is there a
Yes.
difference between personality and character? What are the differences, if so?
Character is one's behavior. As I said, personality would perhaps be a broad umbrella that takes on the character, attitudes, temperament. There are various words that describe ultimately how people behave in certain contexts. So your attitudes or orientation to a particular stimulus or stimuli influences your behavior, right? And the idea is that these attitudes or orientations are sometimes innate. They are based on dispositions, innate dispositions, or tendencies towards something. And through our interaction with our environment, these dispositions and these tendencies that we natural tendencies will change. So perhaps you may have a natural tendency or natural disposition towards anger. You naturally have a fight approach, but if that is suppressed, if you are socialized in an environment that suppressed that or encourage that, it speaks to your behavior ultimately. So this is why, as I said, we can't escape the internal and the external interaction where personality is concerned. But character is just one of the variables
Of personality.
under that umbrella. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I just wanted to start by, giving us an overview, helping us to understand personality. I believe that having, done a course of study in a particular area, we should leave with more informed, when we are talking about something, we should we should have a little bit more information and insight than the lay person would have. As I say, the area of social psychology, which this discipline falls under, is us, is people interaction in social situations, right? So anybody can talk on these areas, anybody at all, because it's our lives, we're living them, But when we speak of personality, when we you know, use the term personality. Where are we coming from? What knowledge base are we coming from? So hence this kind of overview. All right, so some widely used personality inventories. You have the big five. You have the Kersey temperament sorter, which I think is it the one that this is the one I'm going to talk about, or the and the Myers-Briggs. The Kersey temperament came out of the Myers-Briggs. The big one is the Myers-Briggs. So the Myers-Briggs and the Kersey are interrelated. So David Kersey used Myers-Briggs work. And so he just has a different spin on it, a slightly different spin on Myers-Briggs work. But the big five is another popular one that you may know. Is there any personality inventory you've done, anybody here that you want to share? You've done any personality test?
Cattell's
Maybe you've,
PF.
which one?
Cattell's 16 personality factors.
Yes, yes. There's that one as well. Yeah, that one is used a lot by the clinical psychologists.
It's used a lot for people selecting people to work in organizations, like if you're headhunting
Yes.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the more formal ones. That's what I meant to express as well. Usually have a license and the whole 9 yards to administer and conduct personality and other inventories, guys. So the ones that, you know, you're being introduced to here, like the Myers-Briggs for sure, it is extremely popular, extremely, perhaps the most popular personality inventory, the most critiqued in terms of its scientific rigor or scientific even authenticity. It is critiqued. But the weirdest thing is that it continues to be one of the most widely used in organizations. So,
Miss,
yes.
What do you think about the Holland personality?
The Holland is a career, from what I know of it.
Yes, it's a career.
Yes, it
HR, you don't think it's important for person?
Yes, all of them are, but it depends. Remember, you have to know what your goal is.
Right.
What do you want to find out? So if you're interested in career and career development, then that is the one to use. Okay. You know, if you're hiring somebody for a very prestigious position, people tend to go with the Cattell. Okay. That's it, right, Auntie? Yeah. In organizations,
I'm trying to see if I can find one to share screen with you guys so you see it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Does the job bank still exist? Does the job bank still exist? You guys know the job bank?
Lekim Samaj. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
But we have the OAAC here in the department, the organization.
Thank you. What am I talking about, the job bank? Tell us give us a little bit about
we do psychometric testing. People learn it in the PhD OB program. So we've been doing psychometric testing since 2018 in the unit. Our rates are, of course, very cheap. And I'm trying to get some of the instruments just to put them up so that you can have a look at them. But and we do some free tests. Please don't swamp me, but we do free tests. So if you're desperately unhappy in your job, we can perhaps help you with that. Yes. Desperately unhappy people.
Yes.
But I'm still looking for it. I have to sort through my files here in my computer because I don't have my terabyte with me.
Okay. All right. Great.
Miss.
Yes.
It might chime in here. I think some persons are putting in the chat some of the personality tests that they are
oh, please. Who is this talking?
Philip.
Philip? All
Yes.
right. You know me on this. I've no thing. Can you please help me out by just going through the chat and tell me some of those things, please? Yeah. What are people saying?
Sure, I'll check on that for you.
Sure.
Some person are saying Jung's typology, the color, true color personality test.
True color.
Right.
Yes, I know about true color as well. I actually have a whole thing, the book, the everything.
Yes, that's from Chantal.
Okay.
Yes. And Stacey and Beckford said the Holland test.
Yes, the Holland, yes.
And Errol said the Jung's typology.
Okay. Yeah, so the Jung, it's supposed to be pronounced Young, Carl Jung. So Myers-Briggs used Carl Jung's work to create the personality types. So that's where that comes from.
And the true color?
Huh?
The true color.
Yes, and the true color. Yeah, I haven't fully explored the true color, but I do have a lot of the materials for it. All right. So some of you guys have done personality tests before then. Where's the poll? I'd like to have a poll. Lux, empty you're here. I don't know where to find the poll. It's
at the bottom next to participants 39. Polls, chat, share screen, pause, recording more. Mute, start video security.
Mute, start video security, participant, share screen, pause, share. I don't see the polls.
Look at more. I'm looking at polls right here.
Look at where? More? In more?
Yeah, see if you see it there. I'm looking at it. It's open for me. Next to chat, it's between chat and participants for me.
I don't see it.
Okay, what is the question you'd like to ask?
How many persons have already done a personality test?
Okay, let me try that.
Yes and no. Have you done a personality test? Yes and no.
Does that include the one we have to do for today?
Yeah,
nope.
I was gonna ask that.
No. Before today. Before today, yeah. If you ever know what I'm seeing on my screen, it's just pure, it's bare, it's just my PowerPoint slide. So thank you so much for helping me out. I think maybe when I stop sharing, I'll see more stuff. Yeah. All right, so in the mean.
You can exit full screen and you can see everything.
Oh. All right.
Guys, we're trying to work this out for you. We're trying to be as
I know, you know what?
we can.
I'll just do this.
You're dealing with some Luddites here.
I know, right? Listen, I have no shame to my game. Absolutely none. Oh boy. Somebody was saying to me yesterday, somebody and I were having a conversation that there's a whole generation of persons who cannot, who is perhaps not able to understand this world, our generation who is living right now in terms of technology. And I thought about it, and it is so true. You know, when you think of travel and banking and the whole 9 yards, yeah, the world has gone so fast, or is going so fast, and it's leaving people behind. So that to say, I have no shame to my game. I'm struggling to keep up. All right. So yeah, when you get the poll results, let me know.
When I set up the poll, let you know.
Oh boy. You know, there must be somebody in here who is very slick with Zoom. Show yourself.
I think I have too many files open at this time here because I'm still trying to put people in the group. I don't know who is end user, and there's a Joe. I put in Joanna, somebody for that. But there are some people with names that I'm not quite getting. My PC, who is that?
Oh, because people are logging in. Oh, I see. Oh,
So I can't put you in the groups
oh,
because I'm not quite
they
sure.
didn't change their names when they're coming on. My PC?
Yes,
Yeah, who
Karen
is that?
just mentioned that is her. That's Karen McFarlane.
Yes.
She's
Okay.
my PC.
Okay, okay. All right. So until we know who's done it. But by now we know everybody's done it for this course anyways. So the big five, I mean, we're not using this or going into it, of course. I just, you might be curious about what this big five is. These are the 5 dimensions of personality. According to this one, openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. And in short, that's about one's emotional stability. Yes? Somebody is...
No, sorry, that was me. That was me. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So these are the dimensions on the big 5. But as I said, we're going to get into the dimensions on the Kersey. So the Kersey temperament sorter, as I said, it is a derivative from the Myers-Briggs model, from the Myers-Briggs type, Myers-Briggs type indicator. And oops, sorry guys. So Myers-Briggs is the name of 2 persons, Isabel Myers and Catherine Briggs. That's what Myers-Briggs stands for. And this is a mother-daughter team. And what is interesting about them and the development of the inventory is that they're not even psychologists. They are diehard, quote unquote, fans, they were, of Carl Jung's work and his typologies. And the mother anyway, and she studied his work, and out of it, she developed the personality inventory with the help of, later on, of her daughter, Catherine Briggs. And what scientists, quote unquote, and layperson have found, refreshing about it is that, not that you wouldn't say the work has any kind of scientific rigor, right? But precisely because they weren't psychological scientists in the area, the way they approached it, the way they approached the development of the inventory, and the ease at which they did so, the process that they did so, made their work extremely appealing. So overall, there are some critiques of it, but it is very true to Carl Jung's work. So hence its popularity. But Kersey, where is, yeah, am I? Right. So Kersey, using that work, the Myers-Briggs work, developed his own inventory called the Kersey temperament sorter, right? And for him, for David Kersey, temperaments are stable over time, and they reflect, temperaments are stable patterns of people's behavior, right? So according to him, there are 4 basic temperaments. And these are derived from the 2 basic human actions: communication and goal accomplishment. According to Kersey, human beings, as a whole, we are driven to communicate and to accomplish goals. These are the two basic things that we as human beings do, right? And then he further talks about how we communicate. So communication is either abstract or it is concrete, right? And how we go about what we do, accomplishing our goals, right? It's one of two ways. It's either cooperative, right? Or utilitarian. So again, the broad picture. This is Kearse's theory, right? Kearse says personality is about temperaments, and these are stable patterns of behavior, right? And he is trying to understand temperaments within the context of two basic human actions, and it's communication. We all communicate. Human beings cannot survive without communicating. We all agree that. And another basic thing that we pursue is goal accomplishment, right? And then, as I say, he further breaks down communication. He asks, how do we communicate? Either abstract or concrete. And how do we go about? We either work with others or we work for ourselves, cooperative or utilitarian. So have this broad notion or theoretical framework in mind as you think about personality, right? So Kearse, in trying to further explain this, right? Here is how he has organized these different variables. So communication, abstract or concrete. Action is either cooperative or utilitarian. Now I know the results that we have, we've used the Myers-Briggs type personality inventory, but I'm going over the Kearse temperament. As a matter of fact, I think the readings that I have here are for both. So I think you can further understand Kearse's ideas through the readings that are online, right? But as I say, it overlaps greatly with Myers-Briggs' work, which is the one you actually did. All right. So for Kearse, people who communicate in abstract terms, right? And they're very cooperative. They have a very communion approach to how they go about accomplishing their goals. He calls these people idealists, right? People who are very concrete in their communication, and they tend to go about their work in a very cooperative way. They tend to, he called these people the guardians, and people who tend to be abstract in their communication and utilitarian in their goal accomplishment, their approach to goal accomplishment. He calls these people rationals, and concrete and utilitarian, he called these people are artisans. So abstract versus concrete, I have some notes here. Our thoughts and our words reflect our thoughts and the words that reflect them keep us oriented to reality by telling us who we are and our companions, what our companions are and what we and they do. So in terms of explaining abstract versus concrete ways that we communicate, think about concrete, guys, in terms of how people operate in terms of the senses. Concrete, if you're not able to see it, touch it, hear it, feel it, concrete communicators are those who rely strongly on the physical senses, right? Abstract communicators are people who understand the world and communicate through the use of, say, patterns. They use metaphors. They use, language that speak to what they are speaking to. They're not concrete in terms of how they express themselves. So those are the two ways that people communicate in general. As I said, we're gonna see it explained more. We're gonna see it come alive more when we actually try to understand the dimensions for the Myers-Briggs type. Cooperators try to get where they want to go by getting along with others. That is by law-abiding and accommodating those around them. It's, you know, kind of self-explanatory, the cooperators. And in contrast, utilitarians tend to go after what they want in the most effective way possible. So the utilitarian approach to life, to getting what you want, right? It's for you, it's about cost and benefits, cost and efforts. Yeah. So I don't know if as I'm talking about this now, you're asking yourselves, what is my general orientation? You know, do I tend to be more abstract in my communication, or do I tend to be more concrete? Do I tend to be more cooperative in terms of how I approach the world, or do I have a strong utilitarian approach, right? For me, I've always termed myself, I've always thought of myself as a team-oriented person. And as I said, when I came into this kind of information, like my thoughts and about myself began to make sense. So what did I mean when I thought of myself as team oriented? I strive, I do so much better when I'm working with people, so much more than when I'm working by myself. And for a lot of persons, it's a total opposite. For a lot of persons, working with people hold them back. For me, working with people propels me, pushes me forward. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad about any of these, right? And of course, you are everything. I can be utilitarian and I can be cooperative, but because temperament is we're talking about a kind of stable, we're seeing it as a stable pattern of behavior, right? Then what this says is, in more instances than others, this is how you will approach life, right? And the same goes for abstract and concrete. So when you read the chapter that I've included here from the Cursive temperament, it goes into explaining what these are based on the results that you have. As a matter of fact, the test you've done now, you should be able to identify which of these you are. Are you an SP? Are you an NF? Are you an SJ? Or are you an NT? You should be able to do that. So, but we're gonna get to that in just a second. So the Myers-Briggs now, just kind of segueing into the Myers-Briggs, which is the one you've actually done. So for Myers-Briggs, they've come up with 16 different patterns of action, 16 different dimensions. And for them, under personality is about patterns of actions and attitudes, right? You know, I've already said that this is based on Carl Jung's work. And for them, here are the different dimensions so each is measured on a continuum, right? So there is extroversion versus introversion, right? There is sensing versus intuition. There is thinking versus feeling. There's judging versus perceiving, right? So at the end of the day, you are, according to this model, you're either extroverted or introverted. You gather data, sensing versus intuition. you approach decision making either through thinking or feeling, and you order your world through judging. Another word is scheduling. Perceiving, another word here is probing, right? So with that said, I think we should take this moment now to actually get into your results as we're discussing, as we're going to discuss each of these and what they really mean. So where are we? OMT, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Did we find the polls?
I stopped doing that. I sent you the 16 PF art. So let me try the polls again. I just had too many things.
Oh, sorry about that. I wanted now to use the polls. What, I wonder if I stop sharing. Let me see if it goes back to my screen. Participants. How do I? Where are the polls? I want to use the polls, guys, to get a sense of what your scores are. So the number of persons who got introversion versus extroversion. That's what I want to see.
Let me try. I'm trying.
How do I? Are you still seeing my screen?
No, miss.
No, we're not.
Oh, because I had said stop sharing, return to meeting. Oh, okay. Where is the chat? I really want to know how many of you what the breakout looks like. Introversion versus extroversion. Okay. All right. So we're using the chat apparently. All right. Okay. You know what would be very interesting if we can look at them in the. I want to get a sense of what the composition look like in the group. You know what I mean, guys? So in your group of how many? Yeah. Okay. You're with me. So in your group of say your 8 persons, how many I's are there versus how many E's are there? How many N's versus how many F's? You know, that's what I'd like to know, to kind of get a sense. This is what I want you guys to do, by the way. You see, we're creating the breakout groups now because we have real work for you to do in your breakout groups a little bit later. I'm looking at the chat. INTJ, INTJ, INTJ. Wow. Okay. ESFJ. A lot of J's. Any P's in here? P's? Oh, I see some P's as well. I see some P's. All right. Yeah. You know what I'd really like, I'd just like to see the composition of the class too as a whole. Like of the number of, there are 44 of us in here. How many J's and how many P's? That's what I'd like to figure out. I'm still trying to find the poll, not finding it. All right, but do you get what I'm saying, guys? Is there any way that we can find that information out?
Miss Morgan, you won't find it because you don't have host, you have co-host, so that's why you won't find the polls. The person with the host is the person who will find the polls.
Oh, oh, thank you.
Actually, you have to also enable the poll feature in your settings.
We've done that.
Oh, okay. Oh, so this is why I can't find the polls.
I'll send it over. I'm sending it over now. I actually typed out a question for you. What is your profile? What was the question you had asked?
The first one. The first one I'd asked was if persons have done a personality inventory before this one. So yes or no would be the answers. People who've done have you done a personality test before now? Yes or no? You got that one?
Coming. Okay, yeah, I have that. Okay, field is required. I've saved. All right, other question.
Let me see.
I'm going to transfer.
Transfer.
I'm transferring host to you.
Yeah. All right.
Would you like me to open rooms? Just all right. You can always do it yourself if it's loose.
All right. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go through, right? And I'm gonna go through, finish these slides that I have, right? And then we can take like a 5-minute break or so, and then I see if I can do the poll questions in the meantime. And then after that, then we can go ahead and get in our different groups. So I'll just go ahead. So instead of pausing to go through the personality now, I'm just gonna continue and then go through, the team player one is the next one that we have to do. All right, so your personality inventory, guys, should be your findings or your results, right? You should be either E or I, S or N. And by the way, they've decided to use N instead of the I so as not to repeat the I here, right? Introversion and intuition. So that's why it's called S or N. Thinking or feeling, judging or perceiving, right? So as I say here, look at what it means. Introversion versus extroversion has to do with how you generate energy, personal energy, right? It's your source of energy. So if you are extroversion, you generate energy. You get energy from being around people, right? If you're introversion, it's the opposite. You need to take yourself away from people and refresh, you know, regroup, all of that to be able to be your best self with others. And the extroversion people are naturally their best selves around others. That's pretty much what it means.
Can you repeat the introversion one?
The introversion, your energy comes from internal, from within you. So you have to take yourself away from people, right? And focus internally, right? To refresh, to regroup, to recoup, all of that. And then you allow yourselves to be with to be with persons again, to become your best self, right? The extroversion people are different. They are naturally their best self around persons. Their source of energy comes from around people. And for me, this wasn't very surprising. Remember earlier I said to you that I've always thought of myself as a team person. Every time I've done this test, I've scored high on extroversion. Obviously, the first few times I did it, I was like, heck no, this is not me. I am a shy person. I don't talk to people a lot, yada, yada, yada. It's weird that a lot of us do think of ourselves as such. But learning more about it and what it means and just trying to understand me some more, I truly get what it means to be extroverted, you know. So for example, my best ideas for me are birthed in conversations with each other, with other persons. Whereas for persons who are introverted, you know, they can, you know, cordon off themselves and the brilliant ideas just come to them in their quiet space, in their quiet corner. They birth the idea in that space. For me personally, I find I may have the ideas in my head, but they don't make sense. They don't make sense until I get the opportunity to share them with somebody, until I get the opportunity to articulate them. And I'm hearing myself talk and I'm like, whoa, whoa, you know what I mean? So for me, this is what introversion and extroversion means. It's less about being shy and all of that. It's just, as it says here, truly, it speaks to where you get your source of energy. So,
Miss, how do we explain shyness? How do we categorize and place the shyness? Where do we place it?
Yeah, that's that one, shy. And so people use esteem as well to define shy or to try to understand the notion of being shy. But for me, shy is a particular state and not a trait. And when I say that, it's a state, meaning everybody can be shy in a new situation. You're unsure about how others will receive you. You're unsure about your ability to just express yourself in the way people expect you to. And so you develop a sense of anxiety, a mild sense of anxiety, which you may translate to be shy. Now, the interesting thing is that this state can become chronic. You know what I mean? So if you convince yourself that this is who I am, rather than this is just a current state, then the whole issue of self-fulfilling prophecy chips in and the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's for me a description of shy that differentiates it, say from introversion or from low self-esteem or all of those different overlapping terms. It helps?
Yes, it could have been something that was missing in the socialization process that caused that initial state to not be addressed or corrected. And then, as you said, it became chronic. It could even stem from an individual experience. And then whenever that person is in that setting, they react in the same way with timidity and all of that. So could be socialization, could be an experience that remains with a person. And it's
right. Not you mean the reason it becomes chronic?
Right.
Right. And it's easy to become chronic, you know. It's very, very easy to become chronic. And this again, is where
people are characterizing it as a personality type. So that is why some persons tend to characterize it as being a part of your personality or who you are. And that is why a lot of persons live with it, because they never know that it is just a state or it's just something that needs to be addressed.
Right. Thank you so much. It sounds like Andrea, is it?
Oh, Camille.
Oh, thanks, Camille. I'm not looking at the names, by the way. Sorry. Thanks, Camille. So one of the things that's very important for us to distinguish as we're talking about it now is the difference between state and trait. So a mood is a state. I'm feeling happy now. I'm feeling sad now. That's a mood, which is a state. And it is a state given, personal environment, interaction, you know. Person meaning there are some, I remember we say biology is involved here. So females, for females, and you guys can attest to this, at a particular time of the month, or mood change, and that's a state, you know, we have very little control over that because of what's happening to our bodies biologically or physiologically, right? But it doesn't mean we're angry people. It doesn't mean that we're, you know, whatever it is, whatever the mood that it engenders at the time. And if you're like me, it's a range of different moods, a range of them, from deep empathy for people to the point where if I see something happen to somebody and I'm bawling, I'm crying away, to anger, to being upset at the least bit of thing, you know. So that's a state. And a part of what fuels a state is the biological aspect of us that we have no control over. So yeah, so that's extroversion and introversion. And then there's sensing and intuition. That's the other one. So it's either you got an S, or you score higher on the S, or you score higher on the N. And this is about how we gather data in our world. So people who are high on sensing, as we've said before, from the Kersey dimensions, right, tend to be very concrete in their approach to the environment. If they can't see it, touch it, hear it, feel it, it not exists for them, right? Intuition, people who are higher on intuition tend to rely a lot on patterns of behavior to make decisions about how things ought to be. So I always use this example to describe the two or how they might work. Years ago, I was reading this article about Bolt's relationship with Puma. I think we all remember that Bolt wasn't the best at the beginning of his career. His performance was very erratic. That was years, like high school, just post high school, that kind of thing. But he was signed very early to Puma. So the article I read talked about how the Puma management, you know, had a meeting and they were deciding who to drop and who to keep. And Bolt was one of those persons who they decided in the meeting to let him go. So the CEO came back around post-meeting and he said, I think we've made a bad decision with this one. So they perhaps hadn't executed the decision yet. It's in the making. But the CEO came back around and said, I think we should keep this one. I think we should keep this one. And his explanation for that, he really got into Bolt's personality. There's this thing about him, his spirit is this. And I'm sure that could only have flown because it was a CEO, because I cannot imagine a very junior person in a board meeting says, I think we should keep him because of his spirit, if you know what I mean. So they kept him. And of course, you know, the rest is history. But why it stood out for me in the context of what we're talking about, I think I would say intuition, and when we're talking about gathering data, the manager was relying on more than just the census. The census is the report. Listen, this guy ran 8 races and he did well in 5. That's not bad, but I don't know if we really want to invest so much in a guy who, you know what I mean? He did well in these 2. That's the hard facts. That's the report that we're getting, you know? But the intuition approach is like seeing a little bit beyond that. Yeah, this guy's, you know, erratic, his performance, but there's something, he appeals to people. He seems to I don't know, perhaps to get his source of energy from people, as I think that's my assessment of how Bolt is, by the way. I mean, and perhaps the difference between him and Asafa. Bolt strives under energy, under people like, yay, you can do this. But for a lot of people, that actually is quite debilitating. People's expectations of them can be quite debilitating rather than encouraging and facilitating. So yeah, I think that's explains for me how sensing and intuition work in a decision-making forum. So as I said, perhaps if it were junior staff, it would not have gone that way. But I think a manager who is aware of this, yeah, I mean, now you've come into this information and you're aware of the importance of this, even if you're a manager who tends to operate by the sensing mode, it's important for you to have an open mind and listen to the persons who perhaps can't articulate exactly why they think this is so, but they've given enough information for you to run with it. So that's sensing versus intuition. And then thinking versus feeling, it's how we make decisions. The thinking people, by the way, all of this is elaborated down here, you know, in these, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, thinking versus feeling. Thinking prefers or appears to be, they're into logic, facts and figures, objectivity. They focus on intellect. They're into being analytic. Of course, they need feeling for balance. And the feeling people, they understand human issues. They're into emotions ruled by the heart, acts on personal conviction, soften justice with mercy. And as I said, guys, whichever one you get, don't think of them as good or bad, please. It is just what it is. And whichever one of them you are, you bring a lot of value to situations and to people's lives, whichever one. So
We need them all, Miss.
Yes, yes, yes. And the more we appreciate who we are, is the more value we can bring to persons, you know? So the thinking versus the feeling, how would I, okay, here's how I think this might work. So a worker performs poorly and has been, you know, the due diligence has occurred. They've been given warning letters, 2 warning letters, and it's time now to let them go. The information is there according to the sensing people. See it here, right in front of you, what you can do now. So, and the thinking people is backing them up. The thinking people is, yeah, it is what it is. This is not about who we're firing. We don't care that it is the manager. This is the procedures and we ought to go along with it, right? The feeling person is sitting in that meeting and is saying, that is true, I agree with everything, brilliant. But seriously, guys, can we really fire a person in the middle of Christmas? Can we do that in the new year? I mean, that's my interpretation of how the thinking and the feeling operate. So it's not like
the length of service and
yes,
the fact that they admitted to the wrong, all of that.
Yes, thank you. Understand human issues. Yeah, you know. So the feeling person, not saying that the person mustn't go, you know. We're not saying that. You see me? I fall on the feeling as well. We are really saying, you know, at the end of the day, we are all human beings. And let us approach this thing with a little bit of subjectivity, a little bit of understanding that, you know, people are humans and stuff happens. So that's the difference between the thinking and the feeling. And finally, perceiving versus judging, and it's about how we order our world. The P people are high on P. You tend to have a kind of, or we, because I'm P as well, we tend to be very open-ended. We're open, as it says here, to new experiences, willing to experiment, spontaneous. Of course, the bad stuff comes with it, the procrastination, you know. We seem unorganized. I have unorganized there, which I've taken from the literature. But to me, it's about a method in a madness. Maybe I'm being defensive as a P person. But the difference between P's and the J's are the people who have their Rolodex, they have their, what you call it now, the reminder schedules. They have all of these things that help them to really organize what's going to happen at 8 o'clock, what's going to happen at 9 o'clock, what's going to happen at 10 o'clock. So they're very decisive, structured, orderly, organized, careful planners. And, you know, if I may say, this sounds like not necessarily a positive thing, the inflexibility and the inability to adapt very readily. Of course, they need perceiving for balance. Yeah. So, based on your results, does this sound like you? Yeah?
Yeah, it does. I think so.
Yeah. It's so revealing, guys. The first time I did this, I have to say it was in this exact course, in this exact program, in this exact class, group dynamics, with Mrs. Coke, Mrs. Francis Coke. And I remember when Mrs. Coke went over it, she said, and this is from then I've been so careful about how I express myself. She said, the preferred organizational type is the ESTJ. And I fully understand. The E, extroversion, S, sensing, T, thinking, and J. You see how that is right though, guys? Organizations require structure, predictability, objectivity, don't? So yeah, I do get it. But between me and you, the only thing I had in common was the E. I was ENFP, and I've always been ENFP. And trust me, that thing stressed me out that day and for a long time after, like, okay, how do I fit in a company? Does this mean I won't do well in a company? I don't know about you guys. I take things apparently too personal or too deep. But it really stressed me out for a little bit about what this could mean for me being in a company. And on top of that, sharing my first job, my very, very, very first job in the bank. I was working in the bank, and my supervisor had on my performance report, she says, what she says, like I can't remember it, but I felt bad about it. It's all about leadership. You need so much more to become a good leader, something to that effect. And that floored me too. What does she mean by that? Does this mean I won't ever get a promotion? I mean, I was 19 at the time. So, you know, we have to be so careful about what we tell people or how we tell them, you know, because at the end of the day, what I've come to realize is that, you know, all of who we are is so important, you know, and we can't be everything. No one person can be everything, right? And perhaps we are a little bit of everything, but we can't be the everything all the time, if you know what I mean. So we have some tendencies that we develop, and these tendencies we skew how we want to understand ourselves authentically. Does that make sense? So yeah, so as you note, when you do the personality inventory, you're never ever purely J or purely P. Nobody's like that. What that means is that there's a little bit of everything in each and every single one of us, right? But to go through life, this is who we are in most situations. So even to us as individuals, we want to grasp ourselves as predictable. We want to hone a sense of coherence through time. This is how I know myself. Because think about it, guys. If you don't know how you're gonna be in a situation, that's almost scary. You know what I mean? And this is why it's so important for us. I know I would never do this, you know, and we're really only taking that from our notion of what we call our personality. So yeah, interesting.
I'd
So
like
some
to challenge
implications.
Mrs. Cook so many years after the fact. Because for one thing, I would think that it depends on what your role in the organization would be. Because I
Yes.
don't think you want the CEO to be the same person as the person on the front desk, or you know,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I would
Yes.
think she was
Yes.
talking about persons at a certain level or
Yes.
certain kind of function, but certainly not everybody. No, because
Certainly not.
no, my INTJ qualities
Uh-huh.
are what organizations pay me for. They pay me to be no, they pay me to be that kind of visionary, that kind of mastermind type person. That's what they want, and I've made my career that way. So
Mm.
no. I remember when I came to UE, the head
Mm-hmm.
of department who was interviewing me, he actually warned me
Mm-hmm.
against becoming too enveloped with the other members of staff because I was supposed to be leading them and I was
Mm-hmm.
nearing age to them. And he didn't want me to become their friend to the point where I couldn't
Oh.
control them anymore. So it depends. It depends. So I would challenge Mrs. Coke on that.
Yes, yes. I would know clearly. But one of the things I've learned, you know, over time is that people will never and can never give you the big picture. You know, it's like you in the moment, you may say this, but it's you don't catch yourself to explain that, you know, this only means X and not Y. I don't know if you know what I'm saying. And we all do it, you know. It's so contextual, like everything is so contextual, you know. But unfortunately, we don't take what people say as contextual. We tend not to, you know. Um, it's weird. It's like I'm explaining, like if you're explaining something that happened to you to someone, think about it. They're very quick to judge, but it's only based on the thing that you have told them, right?
Yeah.
But you haven't told them so much about the situation. You see what I'm saying? The moment does not allow for you to give them the big picture, but they've gone ahead with the little you've told them and make a judgment of you and the situation. Now the onus is on us for us to recognize.
That's the law of parsimony.
Yes, right, brilliant. It's honestly, it's one of the things I've been really pondering with these days, like in interactions. You know, when you tell somebody a story, they're really going to be responding based on the little that you are able. It's not that you wouldn't give them the big picture, but you are not even able to articulate the big picture in the moment.
And you're not, and even your articulation, no matter how many moments you have, are colored by your biases.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, but we go off with these feedback from others as gospel sometimes. Yeah. Guys, we're complicated beings. We're very, very complicated beings. So as individuals, you're not victim of your preferences. This is very important. You can change. You can change. If you, and that's if you want to. That's if you want to. Least preferred tendencies can develop in order to increase adaptability in varying circumstances. Individuals do not have to accept their types. As it says, you don't have to become victim. And it can vary over time because we are living, growing, breathing human beings. Who you are at 20 is not who you are at 30 or who you are at 40. So you will change over time. Allow yourself the space to change. Allow yourself to see yourself change, more importantly, and ask yourself along the way, is this the direction of change I want to go or I'm interested in? And trust me, whether or not we want to change, guys, we will change, you know? So for me, it might as well you become involved. You remember that quote from last week? Change and growth takes place when we dare to become involved in our own lives and take risk or something like that. It's important that we become engaged and involved in the change processes that are happening to us. If we don't, we wake up and don't know who we are. After a while, we can't figure ourselves out because we haven't been tracking the changes or we haven't been directing them. So you can know who you're going to be in 20 years. Of course you can. Very simple. Write plans and goals for your life and assess the extent to which you are staying on course. Yeah. So yeah, that's personality and inventory. Personality differences are inevitable. Failure to understand and accept differences create barriers due to intolerance of diversity, and relationship groups and teams require balance in all of these. Just saying. All right. That's on personality. That's on personality. I just want to do the teams quickly and then we can take a little break and then discuss the results. It's not a lot more to go. All right. So the team player survey is another one that you guys did, right? So we're moving from you trying to understand you internally to understanding you in your interaction with other persons. Now, where did this come from? I'm gonna go with role theory, right? In general, remember, always give a framework for understanding these things. So role theory, right? And there are many different frameworks, theories. There are many different role theories, right? Structural role theory speaks to these structures that exist in the company. If you can picture the organization chart, the organigram, those on the organization chart are various roles that people fulfill, that people fill. CEO, manager, customer service agent, those are roles, and people step in and step out of those roles, right? So this is how we understand roles. Roles also, here's another, this statement is associated with a more sociological perspective of roles. Roles develop from shared meanings and expectations about groups and about how people should be. So there's a shared understanding in the company about who a manager is. Isn't that true? Or who a customer service agent is, right? And we know this because in your company, maybe you have, these are the 5 C's for customer service agent. These are the 5 C's that define who we want as a customer service agent. Or these are the characteristics of a manager in our company. So apart from it being just a label on the organization chart, the label now becomes imbued with these sets of meanings that define how the person should be, right? And then we take it a little further, right? When roles are occupied by individuals, they become imbued with personal qualities of the individual. This is where role theory meets identity, right? So your identity becomes imbued in the role. So, so yes, there's a manager in your company. This is who a manager is supposed to be. But you see, when you step into that manager position, you make it come alive with your uniqueness, your idiosyncrasies. Yeah. And so this is why roles are described in the literature as in terms of personal identity. Your role is your personal identity. Who are you in this role, right? And as I said, this is why you can have a manager work at this same exact desk doing the same exact work, and this manager leaves and another manager comes, and you have a totally different experience of management in the same position, right? And in the same company, because when you go into the role, you begin to express who you are, right? So this expression of who we are now, right, is where all of this now meets the team player survey. So some team player roles: collaborator, contributor, challenger. These are some of the expressions of self in role, right? Are you a collaborator? Are you a contributor? Are you a challenger? And by the way, guys, this is just one of many typologies of personal expressions in a role, right? So here we go. Right. So you are, okay, so if you're a challenger, right? So your inventory, based on the questions that you completed, you would have come up with responses of either challenger, contributor, collaborator, or communicator. So if you are a challenger, right, you tend to question the goals and methods and ethics of the team, right? You disagree with the leader and encourages team to take risks, and you are very open and truthful, kind of truthful. So this is you. This is how you express yourself in your role. If you define yourself as a challenger, right? If you define yourself as a contributor, right? You tend to be more task-oriented. You provide good technical information and data. You push the team to set high performance standards. You're dependable and reliable and all of that jazz. So that's the contributor. If you are a collaborator, you are very goal-oriented. You see the mission and the vision or the goal for the team. Pretty much you're a big picture person, willing to pitch in work outside of defined goals. If you're a communicator, positive, process-oriented, effective listener, conflict resolution, and consensus building. So, yeah. In the book, by the way, I have even found a copy of the book online. Glenn Parker's Team Player Survey. What is it called? This is a book. This is the name of the book, by the way. Team Players and Teamwork. This is the name of the book. So for further reading, you may look it up, but you may read just chapters that I have included for your readings. But if you want to get a bigger understanding of it, because it's a whole book with several chapters, and clearly each chapter gets into, say, what's an effective team, what's an ineffective team, how teams can build and develop themselves. So it's a good book as a resource, as a tool, if you are interested in team building and group dynamics and building and developing teams and so forth. So, so it goes also into how we adapt as team players, and it kind of intersects adaptation with the stages of the development of the group. So in the forming stage, who are you? What do you do, or what is your role as a contributor in the or as a collaborator, or as a communicator, or as a challenger? I'm not going to go through these here now. It's for you to read carefully, you know, the material that goes with here in relation to your score that you got, right? So if you were a contributor in the forming stage, you're asking yourself, what are the expectations of me? Right? Time commitment, your task. If you're a collaborator, you're asking about the mission and the goals of the team. For this project, you are asking the big picture. What are we supposed to do? How are we going to organize the project? That kind of thing. If you're a communicator, you are concerned with who is in the group and who is not in the group. Did you guys call X? Where's the list of persons? Why isn't X at the meeting today? So you're concerned with the people matters, inclusion, resources of members. You would know that X telephone number not working just because this is naturally you and you care, and you're gonna find out these things. And if you're a challenger, you are quick to say, listen, guys, you know, this is how we want to operate, with a sense of integrity, and we must be serious about our work, that kind of thing. So who really are you? Or does the results that you get speak to how you see yourself as a whole? And it goes for the others. So the adaptive team player. Okay, this is what I have, yeah, throughout the different stages. As I say, guys, there is much more. There's much more that the book offers in terms of how to develop teams and so forth. But for now, we just want to get an understanding of ourselves and the roles that we play within the positions that we have. Yep, so this is it. Any questions? Any questions, guys? No? All right, maybe this is a good time for us to take a little break. And
Miss, I have a question for you quickly.
Yeah.
I plan on completing over about the survey, but
yes.
When I did the Myers-Briggs assessment,
yes,
it told me that if I was tied, I should exclude, let's say,
oh yes,
and I excluded it, but I'm still tied. So what I did, I just pick one.
Oh boy, double check though. Double check to see if you have everything correctly. But which one did you pick though?
I picked T, thinking.
Oh, so you're close to thinking and feeling.
Well, I would like to think that way.
No, I mean the fact that you're tired, it means that you are very close in terms of these two dimensions, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. You're a good person to have in a situation, a good tiebreaker. So some people find themselves very close, their score is very close in each of the dimensions. And as I say, it's not a very bad thing to be. What it means is that you are more flexible than people who are at extremes, you know. So if you're an extreme P versus an extreme J, it's harder for the extreme J to be spontaneous and flexible, if you know what I mean.
Understood.
So, yeah. So it's not a bad thing to be at all.
Okay. I still do it over though.
Miss,
Yes.
I was in the same, well, I don't know if I was tied too, but then when I went back and it says, which one was it again?
Your
it says let me find it. If tied on SRN, that's the one I was tied on.
Right.
16. So is it a case where if you got number 16, if you had circled A for number 16, and
you omit it?
So, oh, that's what I did, because I was wondering why. So I end up with 4-3 now.
Yes.
That's what we're supposed to do. So maybe that's what you're supposed to do. Who was it?
I did it, you know, but I probably made an error somewhere. So I'm going to go back.
I was in the same situation. You can look back at it. So whichever one is correct, you just drop that right answer.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
How does it feel, guys? I mean, for those of you who've never done this before, never done a personality inventory before, what is this experience like for you? Is it just another class project, or or you've begun to be like,
For me, it's been, I'd say, much confirmation for me, because I've done a lot of, I'm used to doing a lot of personal introspection. So it's very interesting that I can do a test and it matches up with how I've always felt about myself.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. What do you think is the value of this tool, of this test confirming some things that you'd thought about yourself?
I believe that it will, one, help me, because I know that it's confirmed. I can better be able to know how to manage in teams, in different teams.
Yeah.
And you know how to identify these things in other people. Team I find myself in, whether at work or at school, because you would realize that even though I know you made mention of a particular type that is necessary, that workers look for, that employers look for, ESTJ, you're saying employers look for. However, as OMT was saying that it depends on the position of the person, but I would realize, or I would think then, that different persons work together and complement each other.
Yes.
So if it is that I'm more a challenger, another person can be a communicator, and we'd work together. Yes. So yeah, it helped me to identify different aspects of different people and how we can put those things together, we can combine them and work together.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. So what this is, for those persons who are thinking that it is confirmatory, we started this class with a discussion in the very beginning about validation. And this is what it is. Validation here is, feedback about yourself that allows you to put some things that you've thought about yourself in context, right? Validation is so important, guys. It's one of the worst feelings when you're doing something and you're not so sure if what you're doing is what you ought to be doing. You're not so sure if what you're doing is great or if it's not very great. Isn't that true? But this is not, it's not about great and not great in this case. What it is you know, a kind of more ambivalence about some of the things that we've thought about ourselves. You know what I mean? So for example, I expressed earlier about myself being a team person. Having this framework that I can use to understand and interpret this, I no longer feel ambivalent about this. I understand the value of this quality to a team, if you know what I mean. And now that I understand it, I'm able to hone it, I'm able to develop it, and I'm able to accept what I am not. So you're able to accept what you are and versus what you're not. You are really what you're not. Weird. Yeah. So this is one of the big takeaways from this, even if it looks very similar. This kind of validation helps you to develop a sense of confidence about who you are and how you should be, and to develop these skills. Yeah. Was there anybody else had anything significant that stood out for them?
Miss for me, else and it's so for E, cause you know the score, you make the scores out at 8.
Yes.
E or I. Yeah, for I,
yes,
I got 8 out of 8. So that kind of stood out to me because I was like, okay.
Yeah. As in introversion?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
okay. Like, what did you think about yourself? Read that.
I agreed, but I was saying I didn't know it was so extreme, or because for the others I got tied for 2 of them. I don't remember which they were, and the other was kind of close. It was like 5 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but that one stood out to me because it's like I didn't get anything at all for extroversion.
So what do you make of that in relation to the explanation given?
I agreed. So I thought it was a valid measure of who I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means then your private space is very important to you.
Very.
Very?
Very. And like, you know, you mentioned earlier some people after you know they interact, they need some time for themselves. That's
Okay. So by the way, ease, it's not that we don't need the time to ease. We do need the time as well, right? Everybody does, but the eyes use the time perhaps in a different way as well. For them, it is serious recouping work to offer again their best selves to persons. So if you're an I and your job requires a lot of interaction from you, at the end of the day, you may feel very drained. You know what I mean? It's perhaps a little bit effortful for you than perhaps somebody who is an E. Does that make sense, guys? How are you when you're interacting with persons? Do you feel like interacting with people adds energy, give you life, or does it take away from you? Have you ever thought about that?
So, Miss, for me, this is Cashel. I am an INTP. However, I consider myself an ambivert within that context. I'm a customer experience manager. My natural inclination is to be by myself. I can't do that as a customer experience manager. So there are times, well, prior to COVID, I would need to withdraw, probably go into the restroom or go in my office, and I just, breathe because I'm mentally drained. And once I'm mentally drained, I start to feel physically ill.
Yes.
And what I find is hard to explain to people because I tend to have a lot of extroverts around me. So sometimes it's hard to explain to people why it's important for me to withdraw so I can recover.
Yes.
So now I have to try to expedite my
Now
recovery.
you know. Now you know. Now you
Yes.
know. Now you understand what is happening to you.
And that's very interesting to me because I am literally the opposite. Since I've been working from home, I have to make some form of arrangement to go somewhere on the weekend because being at home is killing me. So I have to find a way to meet up with somebody to do something because this home thing has been just terrible.
Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for raising that, because now is a true test, right? When we're not able to see people. Trust me, guys, you wouldn't want to know what this is doing for me here, just sitting behind the computer and talking to you. When I'm in class, trust me, I could have the worst headache ever, and I go in front of my lecture. It's over. I am good. I could, trust me. Of course, at the end of the day, I'm like pop down, but in that moment, in that 2-hour, 3-hour moment, I come alive. So thank you for bringing that up, because here's a condition that has been thrown onto us, and how are we managing as intro and extroverts? Have you guys paused to think about that? And are we considering the people that we work with? Yeah. Life complicated, you know. Complex and complicated. A lot. Well, so
my sister
silent.
is asking you about the difference between introversion and antisocial behavior.
Oh.
She's thoroughly enjoying the lecture. You know, yeah. People who are not registered for the course are taking it voluntarily.
You seriously? Serious? We should be collecting. Oh boy, but thanks. Yeah. Antisocial, yeah, it's one of those overlapping terms again. Shy, antisocial, but antisocial is more of a sociological term. So, and I say sociological in terms of norms and expectations of behavior set by society. So in one set, we can see antisocial as people who are not comfortable in public spaces because of these societal norms and expectations. But it can, as I say, also become chronic, right? And when it becomes chronic, it has a developmental element to it. So here's where now the socialization bit comes in. And Erickson's psychosocial theory of and how he speaks of socialization and the healthy development of an individual, and healthy development is one where you feel very integrated into society. Antisocial behaviors is not an issue for you. So if something goes wrong in these stages of development, say the very basic one, trust versus mistrust. This is from 0 to about 2.5. Very, very critical stage. If a baby, an infant, is left abandoned in any kind of way, and abandonment is varied. Abandonment sometimes is just leaving an infant to cry for a very long period of time without any kind of human contact, right? Antisocial issues can begin to develop from there. So the infant learns that life is not to be trusted. People are not to be trusted and so forth. And as I say, there are these conflicts at different stages of our lives. And according to Erickson, if they're not resolved, then what society produces are antisocial people who are not well integrated into society. And I say antisocial is a spectrum from mild to bad, to the point where these people may have to be thrown into jails. So that's my take on the antisocial. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. It's a lot, don't? A whole lot.
Thanks.
Yeah, I felt like, this was just so heavy. And I didn't really mean it to be heavy. I meant for us to have fun thinking about who we are. This is how I miss the class. Because, I'm looking at the time. Normally, guys, let me tell you.
Sorry, I tell you though, Sophia, I've been looking at the number of INTJs you have in this class.
Yes.
It's a lot of, there are a lot of thinking people. A lot of people have T's, even if they're not INTJ, a lot of thinkers. So there are people who are thinking in here, ENT, and that sort of thing. So you're going to have discussion and you're going to have questioning. It's a fact of life, the kind of group. And it makes me wonder if a certain personality type will gravitate to a certain set of activities, a set of, that sort of thing.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Fancy me, like years later, when I'm doing when I did this inventory again, I got the same exact results. But guess what? At that time, I was in the process of calling myself a psychologist. And guess who is on the top of the list in terms of careers or roles for ENFP? Psychologist. I was like, wow. So theoretically, studies have shown that people tend to pursue careers that are consistent with their personalities. Does that make sense? I just read a study very recently where the author, it's a broad identity study too, but the finding was that, one of the findings was that people will intuitively choose careers. So teaching, if you're a teacher, if you are a policeman, whatever it is, these careers that we choose tend to kind of line up with our personality. And the reason is that for the most part, individuals have a need to feel coherent and authentic, right? So what does being a policeman requires of a person, right? Law, order, strictness. The persons who would choose that career would tend to perhaps be high on perhaps thinking, judging. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. But I want to accept some of that findings that intuitively we do choose careers that are consistent with our personality or how we see ourselves. So, who knows? Who are you guys? What are your careers? What do you do? HR? Managers here? Who else do we have here? Do we have any policemen? We have teachers. I know we had people from the force in the last cohort. Have you guys thought of this?
Horiel is a police officer.
Oh, Horiel? Yeah. So it's interesting though. And even if you're going to a profession, how do you position yourself in that profession? Yeah. because again, each role, so we did the whole thing on role theory. Each roles allow individuals to express themselves uniquely. Not a lot though, I have to tell you, not a lot. And this again is where validation comes in. The more you express yourself in the role, you're kind of looking to see what people think of this, you know. So do people approve of you doing this, or they don't approve of you doing this? So if people approve of you doing this, wow, you're gone abroad, you develop yourself, you know, and there's actually a concept called job crafting. And it speaks to a person's inclination to create their work or to create their position. So you're a clerk in a company, right? And by the time you're done with this position called a clerk, they have to change the name of the position, because the amount of things you do and bring to this position, believe me, they look nothing near the people who've had it before. That's job crafting. So anyway, I feel like I talk for way too long now. I don't want the break, or should I just put people into the groups now? We can just go into the groups now.
Everything got lost when I transferred hosting to you. Yeah, so you have to start. No, but it's not hard. Goodness. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's
okay.
Not hard. Because by now most people are here.
Okay. Yes. The list looks very high. All right. So
what I'm going to do while you're doing that, I'll tell the class, I'm going to post the ONET interest profiler in the course container for this course. So you guys can go in, download it, try it for yourself. And I'll also set up a list of possible careers so that you can check for yourself a list of careers that you might like to try, depending on what your results are for that. Obviously, we're not charging for that. We're just going to do it. You do it, and you can call and get some further information if you want. Free service from the OAAC.
Thank you.
Yay! Guys, these things are life-changing, you know, trust me.
They are.
Having decided to do a course, a program, yeah, even in my work when I was collecting data, I was very aware of the process, of the influence that both I have as a researcher on people. One of the things that really stunned me, I mean, I really questioned this and I had to declare it, that people in the company started to question if this is what they really should be doing. My study is on identity, so, you know. So I was very, quote unquote, taken aback. I was gonna say scared, but after being there a few months, this lady ran up to me one day and she says, you know, fill out the form. I've always wanted to be a teacher. She's a customer service rep. And this was a bank that I was doing the study with. And yeah, believe you with me, today she's a teacher. And it's out.
The thing is, people do jobs just because of how life took them. It's not what their soul is calling them to do. And I think that is why our productivity levels are so low in this country. Most people are just not happy where they are.
Yeah.
Because I mean, telling the truth, you know, I'm a writer. I'm a violinist. I'm an artist. I'm not supposed to be doing what I'm doing now. But
you're an artist.
That our choices in life, especially for a certain set of people of my age, were not all that large. You went to a certain kind of school and you got shunted into a certain kind of thing. Because can you imagine if I told my parents I wanted to play music for a living? They would have killed me. I wouldn't be here talking to you today. They would have killed me. You wanted to be a lawyer or something like that, you know?
And here is how you craft your work, right? When you go in the office and look at the pieces that are there that you've you've put up, we can see that aspect of it. This is the personal part of you coming out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
and all the things you created for the HRD, trying to create
exactly
HRD unit, you know.
This is what job crafting is about. You trying to feel at home, to be your authentic self in the space where you are at. So hey, this is a job that you're able to have given everything around you, the environment, the availability, everything, right? But at the same time, how do you see yourself? How do you create you know, this job or this position in a way that you're able to feel authentic? So now I understand these paintings, OMT.
We're gonna change all this for you guys. So as I tell you, I'm gonna send you that. I'm gonna put it in Sophia's course container, the free things, and I'm going to show you how to score it. I'm going to put everything that you need so that you can begin to see what sort of profession you really should be in. You can do that after you finish the MSc HRD.
We're continuously learning and growing, guys. We're continuously learning and growing. And one of the things I hope that we've taken from this session is that we not only need to understand ourselves and who we are, right? But we need to understand others as well. We are living in a very a highly individualistic environment, society, where everything is really about us, me. And one of the things, the pushback, it's a really weird time that we're living in. So people describe the zeitgeist of this time in terms of postmodernism. And postmodernism is an era where different groups of people try to find their own voices. Who am I? This is why you have the Black Lives Matter, the feminist movement, all of this, right? So there's a strong push for individuality, people finding themselves and their voices. So it's a really weird and I would say complex thing that's happening. So while people are pushing for individuality, people are also pushing for diversity, trying to understand that I am different from you and I should give you space to be who you are. And guys, I want us to think about this in our groups as well. When we leave here, we're going to leave here and have you guys discuss these things in your group. What are the different personality traits that have emerged or in your group, or that may be identified in your group? And what does it mean to be open to other persons and what they have to offer to the group as well? Because remember, in this course, we're trying to understand groups as a whole, but we're also trying to understand ourselves in a group, and we're also trying to understand the small group that we are operating in, right? So are there issues now that are brewing in your group? And I want you guys to be very, very honest with yourselves about that. What is the nature of these issues that are brewing in your group, right? And yeah, how have all of what you've learned so far helped to shine light on what it is and how to deal with it? So, gosh, I should be writing down these things. These are some of the things that I want you guys to discuss among yourselves in the group when we put you into the groups. One of the things last week I had asked Anna, yes?
I have a question.
Sure.
How do we introduce this type of self or personality assessment early enough before young people start making decisions about their careers? You know, has it operated in high school curriculum at least?
Well, the most the high schools do is the career day and stuff. And I think the value of that is that they expose children to the variety of offerings that society has for them.
Yes, one of the problems too is that a lot of the tests are normed only on adults because children's personalities are still fluid. So that they norm them on adults. So they could not get valid results in giving them to children. Some of the tests, certainly the ones that we do in the HRD unit, they would maybe the intelligence test, but even that has to be modified for children.
Yeah.
So.
And according to Erickson, since we're using Erickson, developmentally, you're not able to really make sense of this until early adulthood, late teens, early adulthood. In your teenage years, identity versus confusion, it's after that stage where you're able to begin to take account of how your life has been so far in relation to where you need it to be. So this is why the university space at that late adolescence, 19 to early adulthood, 21, is so important. That's the age, that's your ideological age. That's the age that you begin to form opinions about the world and to position yourself in relation to these various opinions that you'd have had from your socialization, from your parents. So so it really becomes important at that stage, at your say the university stage. But the way how society is structured, it requires that you choose something at that stage. Well, the messages that you need to choose then, but personally, I don't think that's what the message should be. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a dilemma there because if I had a full awareness earlier, I know my choices would be different. But what I see is that there are some traits, as you mentioned, there are innate characteristics that will remain stable. And I've seen that I've done 2 personality tests, one in 2015 and one this year. And I'm seeing traits that I had from when I was a child. And some careers that I'm looking at were conceived of in my mind as a child and even advocated for by persons who knew me. So if there's a tool that was suited or some means of looking at traits to then suggest possible career pattern or a possible career path, then that would be helpful for me at least.
But you see at that time, right, this would have just been something else that you're told to do. You see what I'm saying? This would just be another area that you're being guided to. And in a way, this is
one of the things I say is that the things that you gravitated to naturally as a child do in fact point to what you really ought to be doing. It's your parents and teachers who then steer you away from that and move you into the path where you actually are today. But if you're really honest with yourself, the things that you used to like to do instinctively as a child are probably the things that would make you truly happy today.
Yeah.
I have a set of short stories called 12. These were short stories that I wrote when I was 12. And
wow.
Yeah, so and I had short stories before that too. And obviously they're not the sort of things I'd be writing today. There's a lot of more sophistication and all. But the fact that I was trying to create worlds, create imaginary worlds as a small child and write about that, you know, to encapsulate that.
But you're still doing it today.
I am, and I don't get tired. If I'm writing, I'll forget to eat, I'll forget the time, I'll just get lost in the stories that I'm writing. But I get tired of other things, you know what I mean? But no, honestly, I lose track of time. I get into flow mode, flow state, whenever I'm doing something like writing.
Yeah.
Well, writing
flow.
creatively because
Yeah.
I mean there's also the academic writing that I have to do and the technical writing.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, I
mm-hmm.
do those, but I get into flow mode, flow
In the
state
creative
in the
writing.
creative writing.
I would say though, it's never too late. It's never too late to be what you feel comfortable doing.
Wow, that's a tricky one, Miss.
Oh, is it tricky?
A very tricky one. You know what persons have been asking me for a number of times throughout the years. Persons have asked me if I'm a medical doctor, and it was actually revealed to me,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that I had the inclination of being or towards medicine, and somewhere along the line, it
Mm-hmm.
just happened. But luckily, I'm in HR, and I'm looking at the career matches now, and I'm seeing where persons with my personality type also do well in HR. So all is
Yeah. Just to say, a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, started medicine at 35. And she's now a doctor. So before she was a salesperson, but you know, she's always wanted to do that, and so she kind of aligned herself. A lot of people I know, another good friend of mine started law at 39, and she's now very successful in her work. She left and started her own business right away. So it's never too late for anybody at all. I personally believe that. It's based on how entangled you feel you are, your state of entanglement with your current world, with your current life. But it can happen. It
The
can
other thing to
happen.
think about too is that if you don't start now, in 10 years' time, you're going to feel the same way and you're going to be thinking, I should have started 10 years ago.
Yeah. So Camille, was it Camille?
just sharing a thought, Miss. On the dilemma that could occur.
I put the age because I don't know what age you are now, but I make sure to put the ages of my friends. So, just to say it's never too late. It's never too late. And what you put out in the universe, trust me. There's the saying that the universe conspires to give you what you want. I truly believe in that. So we have to be very careful what we ask for. We will get it.
And the other thing
question is
too
just
is that
if we're ready for it.
You have to be open to the definitions as well. So for example, you may not want to go back to school and study for the next 10 years to be a neurosurgeon, but you could do something else. I mean, the sort of alternative medicines. So
Yes.
learning acupuncture, understanding herbs and those sorts of things. Those things would not take so long, and you're still doing healing. That's the point.
True.
But what is it? Do you want to be a medical doctor? Do you want to be a healer? Things
True.
like that.
That's a good one.
That is so true because the discourse has changed. Persons are saying, you give good nutritional advice, you should do nutrition.
And it's still the medical field. Yeah. Well, guys, a lot of food for thought, huh? A lot of food for thought. All right. If nobody else has anything that they'd really love to share, I think, we can go ahead and put persons in groups now. In your group. So what you're doing in your groups, do your groups have names, guys? Question, do your groups have names?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. So
I have just done like Mitchell's group, Abigail's group. No, but they could go in. There's a rename feature there. But as I said, it's all lost. So,
Yeah. One of the things, and even last week, what I wanted you guys to do when you go into your group was to discuss some norms for how you operate, some behavioral norms for how group members should behave. I want to know who is the leader of the group. By the way, at the end of your discussion, I'm going to ask each of the groups to send this to me, which you will add to your assessment, the personal assessment of your group. So I want the norms about how you operate, and I want your group name as well. And I also want you to discuss the results that you have here, right? The team player survey. Discuss how many communicators do you have? How many challengers? Do all the groups have at least one of the persons? What are the implications for a group that has, say, no communicator? What are the implications for the group that has no challenger? These are some of the things that I want you to discuss. So the output of this discussion, I should have a kind of profile of your group. And the profile should have, I'm going to just focus on the team player, not the personality. So the profile should have the breakdown of the composition of the group in terms of the different roles. How many communicators, how many challengers, how many collaborators, and so forth. And I want you to discuss the implications of this, of the breakdown of the communication, sorry, of the roles for the functioning of the team. Got it, guys? Got it? All right.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So we can go ahead and put you guys in your own groups now. And this officially, by the way, I would end officially. I'll come in and check on the groups, but this would officially end what we're doing here. Wow.
And
Zoom
I sent you a
gone.
copy. I sent you a copy of the 16PF. I sent you a copy of the 16PF so that you can show the class. So I sent one to you via email. You hear, Sophia?
Okay, great. Great.
You can have that as one of your little teaching tools.
Yes, thank you. Are we able to put persons in groups now? I am still.
You can.
Are we?
You can. Pause recording just where you would see, just before you see leave, you would see breakout groups, 4 squares.
Oh. Assign a new host. Oh, what am I seeing? Assign and leave.
Mute, start video, participants, poll, chat, share screen, pause, stop recording.
Oh, okay.
Breakout rooms?
Yes. Oh, there's a feature here that let participants choose room. Should I do that?
There's a thing, it can be automatic or it can be manually. I was putting it in manually, so you preserved the groups that they're working with from before.
Right. But I was wondering if I use the let participants choose groups, if persons could just
try. We're all learning. Try.
We could let persons select the groups. So I have 6 groups.
You'd go in and name them.
6 breakout groups, right? Room 1. Open all rooms. Can I name them? Rename. Okay, good. Room 1. Give me a name of a group, please.
All Stars.
All Stars. Okay. Another name, please.
A-Team.
As in EIGHTEEN?
As in A, the letter A, team.
A team. Oh my goodness, thank you. Another name.
Social experts.
Hmm?
Social experts.
Social experts. Cool. No social distancing on here, just social experts. Another one.
Innovators.
INNOVATORS. You are the innovators. Yay. All right. Give me another one, please.
Team A plus.
Team A plus, 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 plus. I give you a whole heap of pluses here. Team A plus. All right. And the final one is. Hello. Hello. Should I just call you for now? Group 6? Hi, Group 6. You have a name? All right. For expediency purposes, I'm just going to say Group 6 for now. So Group 6, I'm sure the other persons would know. Open all rooms. So I'm going to press open all rooms now, which means that you should be able to, are you able to find a room?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so can you put yourselves in your own rooms?
Oh yeah, it says yeah we can join when we're ready.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh, cool. Yay. You can go ahead now. Go ahead and join.
Okay.
So when you join a group, will you hear me or I'll have to go into the group? Is that go? All right.
Miss, did you open all groups?
Yes, I said open all.
I didn't see it pop on my screen.
You didn't see it?
I'm not seeing that option either.
Normally when there's a breakout room, it will tell you that host is
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then it says join the room, right? All right. It says I only see close all rooms, which means they're all open. So how did these people join? All the innovators joined. Well, some of them. You still don't see it, guys?
No.
Somebody just joined a group.
Are the people who joined able to hear you?
I doubt.
One of them could come back and tell you what happened.
All right, let me see if I could go into this group. So how do I come back out to the main group when I go into this group
It says
now?
you can. There is a thing that says you can come back at any time. I saw that when I was setting up the group. So you should be able to come back out at any time.
All right, let me go in here.
Hear anything? No, I hear anything in the 10 or 10 minutes. $4.48. Yes. Oh, them depend that. Oh, them call you. They call you. Fair enough. No, so the both of us is out there. That's what they must saying. Call it 50-50.
Oh, are you hearing me now, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so what I learned is that you may have to just keep moving the mouse on the screen, and then you'll see the icon that says join breakout room.
I didn't hear that.
What they were saying is that you may just have to keep moving the mouse on the screen.
No, not working.
The icon that says join breakout room may leave the screen. So right now I'm seeing on my screen join breakout room for all stars.
But I'm not seeing it on my screen, miss.
No join breakout room on your screen?
No.
No, ma'am.
Me neither.
Not now.
Join breakout. All right, how do I get
this? So could you add those of us who are not seeing it manually because it's not on my screen either?
Okay, okay. All right. I wonder if I could do a drag and drop.
Have people just call their name and you just put them in
Shireen,
the every time.
Right. Shireen, what group are you? Shireen?
I'm innovators. My microphone wasn't unmuting itself.
Okay, thanks. I'll put you in.
Okay, thanks.
Shaniki?
If that's Shaniki Barrett, social expert.
Okay. The other Shaniki?
Add Cashel to A team, please.
Cashel to A team. Okay.
Yes.
You see it?
Shanae's innovators.
Andrew? Anne?
Shanae's innovators. Jennifer is social experts. Shaniki is A team.
You're adding them, Auntie?
No, you have to.
Oh, Jennifer is where?
Social
Jennifer
experts. Social experts.
Okay, go again.
Shanique Dillon is A team. Shanae is innovators.
Shanae, it's in alphabetical order, so. Okay.
All right. Mitchell is social experts. Felicia, Latoya, Felicia, Latoya, and Sandra Williams are all A team. No, Felicia is A plus, team A plus, sorry.
So Latoya is A team.
A team, Sandra is A team.
Sandra is A team.
Felicia and Rashima are team A plus.
Okay.
And Chantal Hardy, A plus.
Okay. I don't see. Chantal. Okay, Chantal is A plus. Okay. Who else?
Camille Drake, social experts.
Camille is probably gone.
Miss, I see something that says the host has opened break rooms. Please wait to be assigned.
Yes. So which one of them are you?
The group with Abigail and Anake.
So which one is that?
I don't remember the name.
All right, Dylan. Where are you, Dylan? All right. Oh, I don't have this thing now. Oh, you don't remember the name of the group?
They just said it to you
know. A plus?
No. It's
social
not
experts?
No.
Innovators?
I think so.
Or A team?
I think
All Stars.
All Stars?
No, it's not innovators.
All Stars?
Yes, that's the name. Kadina
All
is in,
Stars?
Kadina is in All Stars, yes.
yeah.
So
All
Dylan
Stars?
Yeah, the same group as Kadina, All Stars.
Okay, I
so
just
Dylan and
assigned it
Kadina
there.
and Horel.
And Anne.
And Anne.
Miss, I'm not yet in my group.
Oh yes, and you're All Stars?
Yes, ma'am.
And Horel.
And Horel and Dylan, Kadina, Abigail, Anna.
Anna K, yeah.
Anna K.
Jody.
Jody. I think Jody is no longer with us.
Okay.
Miss,
I'm
Andrew? Still not yet in my group.
Which one is that?
All Stars. It's Camille.
Camille, where's your name? I don't even see it.
Camille Briggs with Social Experts.
Yes, I'm not yet in my group.
I'll never put you in a different group though.
No, I'm still in the main area.
I don't see you.
Camille Drakes, C. Remember, they're alphabetical by first name.
I know, I see. Cashel is not in a group yet? Cashel?
I still haven't received the pop-up.
Okay, which group are you?
A team.
All right, tell me if you see it now.
I'm seeing it now.
Okay, good.
I'm still not
me, please.
Belinda, what group are you?
Innovators.
Innovators. Okay, great.
Miss, put Andrew onto team A+, please.
Andrew onto A+.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay.
Shanique Elian on A team.
Shanique? A team. Okay, good.
I'm still in the big yard. Okay,
Philip,
I see the pop-up now.
Philip, you're still here with us?
A+, Miss.
Marco.
Yes, Miss, I am here. I would be group 6.
Group 6. Okay.
Marco,
get on the name of team.
Yeah, we're gonna start out the name.
Marco.
We're gonna start out the name. We're gonna start out the name.
No, start out on yourself. Good.
Yeah, I'm in group 6 as well.
Okay. Felicia.
A+.
A+. Damian.
Group 6.
Okay. Group. Kadina.
All Stars.
All Stars.
Okay, great. Antonio.
Group 6.
Okay. Anna K.
All Stars.
Okay. End user. Who is end user? I still don't see Camille in it. It's just end user and OMT. I have unassigned. Who is end user again? End user. Oh, Camille, you're still not assigned yet?
Try getting me into Social Experts again.
Oh, you know why? Because I see you here as a host or something like that. So I don't even see you over here. I see Anna, you, end user. Who is end user? Apart from that, everybody else should be in. Is there anybody else who is not in yet?
I'm seeing Camille. I'm seeing Camille still unassigned. I'm seeing Camille and end user.
I'm not seeing Camille as unassigned.
Yeah,
Put in a waiting room.
Camille,
Okay.
Anna K, end user.
Oh, Lux. You know, someone put Camille in a waiting room.
Oh, dear.
How do I find her? Oh, waiting room. This is so funny.
Latoya is still unassigned and Anne.
Camille? All right, that's still Latoya. Latoya is where?
I'm A team. I got
okay. All right, great. Camille?
Yes, I'm here, Miss.
I kicked you out. I put you in the waiting room.
Wondering why.
Oh my goodness, I still don't see you under the unassigned.
Camille, why don't you sign off and re-enter?
Put in a waiting room.
Okay,
I thought it meant assigned to group. Yeah. All right. And end user. Who was end user again? Apart from that, everybody is in their group.
And
now.
I'm still seeing Anne out here and Anna K.
Yeah, they're over the other section that I can't
Oh dear.
access. They're probably
is Rashina. Rashina is end user. Rashina Grace.
Oh, okay. Rashina end user is where is she? Which one of them again? Sorry.
I'm looking for the names of the groups.
Oh, A-Team, Social Expert, All Stars, Innovators, Group 6.
Rashina, hold on, let me see. She's in the same group. She's Group 6 with Damian and Antonio.
Okay, okay.
And Marco, yeah, Group 6. And Anne Emil. Let me see.
Oh, right. Camille, I see you now. Where does Camille go?
Social experts.
Okay, great.
Anne goes in the same group with Abigail.
All right.
Harel and Abigail and Kadina.
Yeah, Anne is over the section where I can't.
Oh dear.
So unless Anne goes and come back again. Anne and who? Anna K. Yes. Anne, is she hearing me?
Apparently not.
Anna K is not here. Isn't Anna K not well?
But she's here. And she's been here the whole class. And she's been participating in the chat.
Oh. Anna, if you're hearing us, just sign off and sign in again so I can assign you.
Both Anna and Anna K are in All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still seeing Rashina here.
Anne is in
All Stars and Anna K is in All Stars.
Oh, you know, I see them in there in the group, in the All Stars group, but they're not. I don't see the thing. The thing doesn't light up green. It's just gray. So I'm not so sure.
Okay.
Maybe it's just have not joined.
Maybe they can't talk or something.
Yeah. It has not joined.
But I'm seeing Anna K. I'm seeing Rashima here still. End user. I'm seeing her still here. Out in the general one.
She is it. Yeah, I see her in group 6. I think they've gotten the
What you could do, those two, the two All Stars ladies, go into All Stars and ask one of those people to send them a text or something.
Okay.
Because if they're in groups, then they're close already.
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
So just go in. You can enter the group.
Right.
And yeah.
Now let me go into All Stars.
Yeah, Rashina is gone in now.